Welcome to Paranormal Heart Podcast with host Kat Ward. Welcome, my friends, to Paranormal Heart Podcast. Tonight's segment is pre-recorded, streaming on United Public Radio Network 107.7 New Orleans, as well as 105.3 the Gulf Coast. As you already know, I'm your host, Kat Ward. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. A formal disclosure, Paranormal Heart Podcast is for entertainment purposes only. All information stated in this podcast is not professional advice. The views and opinions expressed on Paranormal Heart Podcast are not necessarily those of the show host, network, or producers. Paranormal Heart Podcast is always respectful and courteous to all involved. So tonight, we have a truly fascinating guest, Bigfoot experiencer and researcher Chris Reinhardt. Since 2016, Chris has dedicated himself to uncovering the truth behind the Sasquatch phenomena. His journey has taken him deep into the unknown, from personal encounters to intense investigations in the field. And Chris has been involved in research alongside some of the biggest names in the field, including his work at Snellgrove Lake with Doug, and I can never remember how to pronounce his last name, so I do apologize, Doug. Hajek? No, I just butchered it. For an upcoming film. And you may have seen him on the Travel Channel or heard about his years of trading with the Sasquatch people. But his experiences don't stop there. He's witnessed unidentified aerial phenomena, had run-ins with blacked out helicopters, and has even been no stranger to the paranormal with encounters dating back to his childhood. So Chris is here tonight to share his incredible experiences, insights, and thoughts on the mysteries that lurk in our forest. So sit back, relax, get ready to join us as we dive deep into the world of Sasquatch and the unknown. So please help me welcome Chris Reinhardt. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Kat. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. We finally got this going.
Yeah.
Schedules are horrible sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And then they get a little ill here and there, and but the third time's a charm. So we were all here, and it's an honor for me to be here. And thank you for having me.
It's an honor for myself as well. So before we get into everything, can you tell the audience, how did you get into the paranormal?
Okay, so my whole life, I was interested in strange things. I always watched, In Search Of and those kind of programs. And whenever you would see Patty on the TV, back then we had to get up and turn the channels. That's how. If that gives you a little idea what my age is, we didn't have remote control.
We were the remote controls.
Right. Yeah. Your parents would say, "Get up, change the channel." Yeah. Thank God we only had 4. We had 4 channels, so you could go through all.
Yep.
So I was always fascinated with the unknown and all that stuff, and I never took it any farther than that. My whole life, but up until when I got rid of TV again, we got rid of cable, and I started streaming. Mm-hmm. And I was introduced to YouTube, and I was like, okay, Bigfoot, type it in, and all of a sudden, boom, this whole big world opens up. I didn't even know that there was people in the forest that were out there looking for Sasquatch in the forest. I just thought it was the people that you saw on TV.
Yep.
Time and time again, because that's all you would see was the same people, the Meldrums and all that. They'd be on TV all the time. And I thought that's it. And they were up in the Pacific Northwest, and that's all they were. And then all of a sudden I'm watching these channels, and I'm seeing that they're everywhere. They could be everywhere. I didn't know at this time. They could be everywhere. And why not here? Why not here where I live in Northwest Connecticut? And then I started researching into what was going on around here. And I put the pieces together here and there on YouTube, and I had my certain people that I watched. And so I said, all right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to see what happens. And 10 years later, here I am, and it's been quite the ride.
Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating how growing up as kids, obviously I heard about Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, but there wasn't a whole lot of other creatures that were talked about. But as the years progressed and the internet became more popular, it's just coming out of the woodwork, and there's so many people who have had encounters and doing research, like you mentioned.
Right. When I was a child, I thought Godzilla was real. I thought he was going to stomp through our town, because every Sunday they would be on the King Kong and Godzilla movies after Abbott and Costello, and I always would be looking out the window, wondering if Godzilla was going to walk through the town. And I mean, like I said, I would watch them and Planet of the Apes. I watched all those shows, and
Yep.
now they're real. You know what I mean? Now
Oh, who
they're
knew?
yeah. Who knew? I mean, Godzilla obviously. I don't mean Godzilla, but
Yeah.
probably creatures that look like Godzilla could be out there. I don't know. I've never.
Maybe.
Yeah. So.
Especially with all the the Fukushima and oh geez, I can't remember the other one that several years ago that had a meltdown. Oh jeepers, I can't remember, over in Europe. Anyways, you never know what's going to
Right.
come out of the soil.
Right. Yeah. When we go farther through the interview, I'll tell you what I feel about the radioactivity and the Sasquatch too, because
Yeah,
I think they
sure.
have a little to do with it. So has something to do with them. So.
So tell us about your first encounter.
So I started. Now, see, I don't know if it was a Bigfoot now or if it was a dog man, because I know now that Bigfoot mimic. But I'll tell you my first encounter. So we're in Connecticut, and I'm finding tree structures, and we're doing certain things. I followed certain people, and I'm following their advice, and I talked to them on the phone, and so we're doing our thing one day, and we're out, and we found these tree structures, or actually, my friend found tree structures out in the forest, and he told me he found them, and the next day we went out and checked them out, and we're out there looking at them, and we're looking around, and all of a sudden we hear this dog whimper noise, like a dog got hurt, we got run over by a car, got hit by a car. We're at the state forest, and he's whimpering, and me and my buddy, I look at my buddy, I said, "Well, what if he got hit by a car? Let's go over there and let's see what that is. Maybe we can help it." So we get over to where the whimper sound's coming from, and there's nothing there. We're looking all around. We're looking, and there's nothing there. Now, 50 feet up to our left, the whimper sound comes again. So we're like, well, maybe he's scared. He got hurt, and he's scared. He crawled away from us. We didn't see him crawl, and let's go up there and check that out. So we go up there, and we get there, and nothing. There's no dog there. There's no puppy there. There's nothing. Now, up to our right-hand side, 50 more feet into the woods. So we get up there to the spot, and now there's nothing there again. And now my buddy, he pats me on the shoulder, goes, "Listen, Chris, whatever this is, it's not a dog, and it's leading us into the forest. Step by step, by step by step." He says, "We don't have a flashlight. It's dusk. We don't have a flashlight. We don't have it," because we just started. The only thing I started with was a cell phone and a notepad. That's what we used to bring into the forest.
Wow.
Now it's backpacks, and it's crazy how you do it. But Bigfoot guys, Bigfoot ladies too, when they're out researching, they got to bring everything but the kitchen sink with them.
Yeah.
So he tasked me. He goes, "Yeah, whatever this is, it's leading us." And I'm like, "You're right, Mike. You're absolutely 100% right. Whatever this is, he says, let's get out of here. Turn around and let's get out of here." So we turn around. We start walking. Whoa, what happened? Uh-oh.
You zoomed in.
That was I have this new, I can't do hand gestures with this thing. Hold on. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What the heck happened? Oh, boy. I don't know why I did that. Hold on one second. All right. Well, let me start is this this is going to be on TV, right, too?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll fix it right after. We'll have a close up for me until I can fix it here. So we turn around, and while I'm punching things up here, I turn around, and we
Oh, there you go.
there. Sorry about that.
That's
So we turn around. We're walking at a good pace because we're a little freaked out. What is this leading us into the forest? So we're walking steadily, and we get out to the logging road again, and all of a sudden we hear, and we turn around. I mean, that's exactly not, and it's probably have changed since 2016 every time I tell a story, but we hear a sound that you don't hear. It was a growl, grunt, deep guttural growl, and we turn around. And as soon as we turn around through the foliage, a rock comes flying at us and lands in back of us.
How big was the rock?
it was about 50-cent piece.
Yep.
So now we look at each other. He's like, "What is that? What? Well, what? That's what they do. Now we're believers, but now that's what the Sasquatch do. They do these things, and now they're throwing rocks at us. So we booked down the road. I mean, we were newbies to this whole thing, and got in the truck and drove away and talked about the whole. This is what the Sasquatch do. Do you think that was a Sasquatch, or was that mimicking a hurt dog to get us farther in the woods? What did it want us farther into the woods for? Why was it bringing us? So I don't know if that was a dog man was my first experience because of the whimper,
Mhm.
or was it Bigfoot mimicking. We didn't see what it was, but it was no human, and there was nobody out there at that time. So that was my introduction and how I became almost a knower to the Sasquatch being 100% real and walking the forest. That was the intro.
Wow. Do you recall if there was any smells or anything like that?
No, no smells, no smells. I've smelt them once in 10 years. I know the smell, and it comes and it goes, and it's very stagnant. It's bad. But I've only smelt it once, but no, not this time. No smells, just the vocal and the rock throw, then that was pretty intense for our first introduction.
No kidding. Wow. So when did you decide to start really diving into the research?
So I kept on doing my thing, and I had an area called Larry's, and I started trading with them and gifting and all that stuff, whatever everybody wants to talk to, and that was going really good. We would receive stones and feathers, and we were documenting it all. And I got involved in a project in Missouri, and this was my first. This was when I found out that I know they were there.
Mhm.
I know. Um, I seen him on thermal for the first time. The head popper upper, he was looking head pop, and then they would go down so quick, like boom,
Wow.
and then it would pop its head up again, and it would look, and then boom. And we found a trackway that when we first got there that day, and we saw that at night, and then we got back to the tent, and I was sleeping in the tent, and I could hear footsteps, not like Godzilla footsteps, but heel to toe, like
Mhm.
for 15 minutes, one step at a time. And where did it end up? Right on the side of my face on the tent. The last step.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, whatever that is, now I'm freaking out. Whatever that is right above me. And we had the rain tarp off because it was a hot, humid night. It was July, I believe.
Mm.
And if I looked up, whatever was there, I would have been able to see it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I could not get myself to do it. So he came down to me, and on the side of my face, he goes, "Oh." And I feel his breath on the side of my cheek coming through the tent. And I shook, I don't know, for about 20 minutes. Don't know exactly how long. And then nature hit me with what was going on. My stomach I was a mess. I had to stand up in the tent, pale white. And one of the guys that was with me in the tent looked up and turned the flashlight on me, shined the flashlight, and he goes, "Whoa, dude, what's wrong? You are white as a ghost." And I'm like, "You're not going to believe what just happened to me." He's like,
You didn't hear it?
he didn't hear it because this thing creeped like
Mm.
step 15 minutes. So I don't know how far away he was. It took him to get to the tent, but you would have never, if you were sleeping, you would have never heard it. Being awake, I heard every footfall. Was I supposed to hear it? No, maybe I believe that I was supposed to hear it. But anyways, um, he's like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" I said, "I was too busy shaking. I couldn't even move. I was just sitting there shaking after that." And then I had to go outside I had to go outside the tent and use the bucket, the tree, whatever you guys want to
Yeah.
call it, and when you're camping.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go out there. I said, "Well, it's either ruin the trip for these guys inside the tent or go out there, suck it up." And so anyways, we won't go any further than that, but I made it outside the tent, and that's how I found out that they were 100% real.
Wow. We jokingly say that you're okay, you're safe, you're in a tent, it's not gonna get you. Yeah, that thin little piece of
Right.
material.
Isn't that
Wow.
funny how you believe that? It's funny how you think you're safe in the tent, yeah, and you never, um and then the next night we saw one walking between 2 trees. We're on a cliff face or, I don't know, a ridge face, and we're sitting on a rock, and there was a thermal on a stick, and we had it pointed backwards, and we were watching one walk between the trees, back and forth, and it looked like he was worried that we were there,
Hmm.
and we were all in dark. We didn't have any lights on, and we were watching him, and one of the guys there turns around and goes into his backpack to get something. That Sasquatch jumped behind a tree and then started peeking at us. In the pitch dark, I mean, pitch dark, and he saw this guy turn around and get into his backpack in the dark,
Hmm.
60 yards away.
Hmm.
Now that is some extreme eyesight in the night. That's after that, I know they knew they could see at night 100 times better than we could ever think of.
Yeah. Do you know how tall it was?
Couldn't really tell because he was so far away.
Yeah.
But we could tell that was walking on 2 legs and had 2 arms, and then at one point we saw him throw something at us. He rooked his arm back, and they tried recording it, but it was on an old DVD type
Oh, yeah.
setup strapped to a belt, and it just didn't come out. But
Too bad.
yeah, it was too bad. But after that trip, there was no doubt in my mind that the Sasquatch were in the forest.
Now I know it was dark, but do you know what color it was?
Nope, couldn't see him.
Dark.
Just we
Yeah.
were looking at him through thermal, so he was just glowing.
Right. Okay.
It was like 2 a.m., no moon. It was dark, dark.
Hmm. Wow. So when you uh, do the gifting thing, what do you usually leave behind for them?
So it took me a while to figure out what they liked and what they didn't like, and you would know you could be able to tell. And in the end, they loved red delicious apples.
Hmm.
They love peanut butter.
Hmm.
They really love meat. But we tried the meat, and when we couldn't get back up to the gifting area, they would come down to my friend Larry's. The whole property was Larry's. The
Hmm.
area was called Larry's. They would slap the side of the house, and his wife wasn't having it, and she's like, "No more. Whatever you guys are doing differently, that's enough." And they would never eat hot dogs. Never even touch a hot dog. Green Granny Smith apples, the green ones, would just sit in the trees and rot away. They wouldn't eat
Mhm.
those. But
Probably too sour.
yeah, we played games with them. We always made it harder year after year, so we could show people that it takes hands for whatever's doing this. And we were an hour and a half into the woods in the middle of nowhere,
Mhm.
um, trading with them. We never saw another human being in there for 6 years. Ever saw another person in there.
Hmm.
So we would play games with stones. Like we would put a stone on top of a peanut butter jar, and we would leave it on an end of this tree.
Mhm.
We would come back, and the peanut butter jar would be gone, but the stone would be directly where the peanut butter jar was left. So if that was anything, any animal, they're knocking that stone off.
Yeah.
And in the end, we were burying our gifts in the ground in Tupperware containers
Mhm.
with dirt and stones all over the top of it with a marker so they knew where it was. And then we would come back, and all those stones and everything would be up off the Tupperware container. The lid would be popped, and the stuff would be gone. So year after year, we had so many stories up there, so many incredible things, and then the property sold, and
Mm.
when we couldn't go back no more.
That's
And
too
it was
bad.
in that last year, they were following us. They were knocking and letting us know how close they were.
Hmm.
We were getting really, really close to whatever was up there to showing itself. Larry's wife saw him a couple times in the creek,
Mhm.
while she's doing her dishes, and she would see him walk through the creek and up the hill, and um, it made you happy when you knew they were there. It made you feel different. I don't know how to explain it, but we used pattern hikes. We did the same thing over and over again. We never veered. That way they knew where we were going, and they could get ahead of us or they could stay behind us, and we never tried to sneak up on them. We were always out in the open. We had a whistle that we used,
Mm-hmm.
so that would identify us, and they mimicked the whistle.
Oh, that's neat.
We have that on recording. Um, there was a down tree along our path, and we would go up there, and there would be a tree on the left hand side of the root ball. The next time we would go up, it would be on the right hand side of the root ball, and they would alternate. And one time we went up there, it was balanced on top of the root ball.
Oh, no way.
They had to be very, very close that day. They had to be in front of us like probably 5 minutes, because for that to balance, it wasn't for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I have that on film. You can see that on my channel. You could see that balanced log. That was pretty incredible. And the stones that they would leave for us, and they had a quartz stone that they would take and they would bring back. And we had a monkey we would tie in the tree and they would mess with. They took that monkey and took it, and then they brought it back a year later, the same week.
Oh, really?
The same exact week. Yeah, I have
Wow.
it here in my office. And it looked like it was over a year old. And if it was out in the elements, a stuffed animal, a year out in the elements, a winter
Mm.
rainstorm, that thing would look beat up to no end. All this thing did was come back, and it had one little tear in it. It was taken care of.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a, oh, I can't even explain it. It was a great time. It was we learned so much. We knew when they were going to be there. We knew when they weren't going to be there. We know what months they were there. Again, we figured out what they like to have. They loved little dinosaur toys, little plastic dinosaur toys. They would take them every time we put them out.
No way.
Every time, and they would move them on the rocks, and it was yeah, it was pretty incredible. I'm just bringing back a lot of memories, because we haven't done it since, for a few years now, and it was quite
Mm.
incredible. So we always tested them, always made it hard. And while we're up there, I have film on my channel too of them throwing stones at us while we're up there and all that stuff. So, but we never went up there at night because it was private property and we weren't allowed up there at night.
Mm.
So, it was pretty cool time.
The property that was sold, do you happen to know who the owners are?
So I was in the hospital when this all happened. I had stomach surgery, and
Mm.
that leads me. That's another whole story with the Sasquatch. So I wasn't making it up there that much, and my partner Larry, they went up there with me. He said he wanted to go up and check on the rock. He would never go up there by himself,
Mm-hmm.
never ever. And he says, "Well, I'll go do this for Chris because he can't get up there, and I'll go up there." So middle of the day, Larry grabs his machete, and he goes up there, and he's been going up there for 6 years. He gets lost. I don't know how, but it happens.
Hmm.
We got lost up there before. And he ended up going past the new people that bought the property trail camera.
Mm-hmm.
Midday, wife beater t-shirt with a machete carrying it.
Oh.
That night on Facebook comes up Larry's picture on Facebook. Do you know this man? He is on our property. We would like,
Oh, no.
I'm like, Larry, what are you doing? Oh my goodness.
Did he come?
So us getting a hold of the new owners and trying to get back up there, I don't think is going to work out.
Yeah, that's too bad, because it would be interesting to find out if they're having experiences with Bigfoot there as well.
Right. Well, it's all like, it's only forest. They don't only use it to hunt. They're not building
Okay.
up there or nothing. It's just acres and acres of woods. And I think they just bought it to have the land, and was going so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Larry talked about it 100 times buying it, but we just didn't have the funds to, go out and buy the big chunk. I think it was 86 acres.
Oh, wow. It's a good chunk.
Yeah. So, that's the way it happened. But I have another place. It's called Rock Throw Alley. That's where the dog whimper thing happens. And we go up there. It's just a long hike to get there. It's all uphill. It takes us a long time. And it's just, Larry's was convenient because it was right here in town. You wouldn't believe where all this stuff happened. And I mean, he's on the outskirts. I mean, he's not like dead center, like in town. I'm living Northwest Connecticut. I'm up in the hills, so I have forest all around us.
Nice.
I have forest out here. And so where was I? Where was I talking? Larry's. I lost it.
Your train derailed.
Yeah, my train derailed because I was so excited about the Larry's. But you wouldn't believe where what was going on here. So Rock Throw Alley is just it's a bad, now I know where I am. So it's such a big hike and it takes a long time to get up there. But once you get up the top of this mountain, they're there. They're 100% there. They'll come in, they'll start hawking rocks at us. I was live on Facebook one time with my group on Facebook, and I'm showing them up the top. I'm showing this fake fire pit where they would break branches and they would leave them on the side of the fire pit like they were getting ready to build a fire. But it never in 10 years as if they built a fire up there. So I go over and I point at the thing, and all of a sudden a rock comes and shoo, boom, and it hits the fire pit, and everybody on Facebook's going, "Oh my God, what was that? What was that?" And my team's in back of me. They're like, "What was that?" I'm like, "Oh, rock just happened." And then all of a sudden they're coming in from the left and the right. The stones are coming in. And we use our radio frequency meters, RF meters, like, the ghost hunters use, and we use them for Bigfooting. And the thing's pinned. It's on radio frequency, like it can't go any higher. It's like 1 dash 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 dash. It doesn't even register numbers. And we actually, and I'm probably jumping all over the place, but while they're throwing rocks at us, the RF meters are going off the wall. We had a satellite communication guy reach out to us, been doing it for 30 years. He said, if you guys were in a Faraday, he researched our meters. He said, if you guys were in a Faraday box, you would have been cooked. He says, there's no way, no how that you should have been registering those numbers with a broadband meter like that. He says, you should have never caught that unless you had a drone over your, like a government drone over your head 30 feet. He says, there's no way that you should have gotten that much radiation from anything around there. And it did it for like 15 minutes while they were throwing stones at us. And that's why I believe the radiation in them have a thing, the energy. And we've gone up there, I don't know, 5 or 6 more times since, then. And we've always have the rocks thrown and the RF meter goes off. And now we've found out they do a hum. It's like it sounds like a hummingbird. It's a thing. We put it out across, with Doug Highcheck and his channel, and
that's how it's pronounced. Thank you.
Yeah, Highcheck. It's easy, just like it. Highcheck. I worked on it for so long because I didn't want to mispronounce it either. So the hum came along way down the line. So I won't go there now, but that's what happened at the top of Rock Throw Alley. I don't know how to explain to you, but I know how to find them. I can find them. I know I have a routine. I know what to look for. And I also believe that, and people might think I'm a little weird, I think it has something to do with your aura, your energy. I think they can see that. I think they can feel that. I think they know your intention. This, again, I am not the Bigfoot guru to save all, tell you guys everything. No, this is just my opinion and where the evidence has led me. I want to get that out of the way because I could be 100% wrong and it just happens with me. But the evidence shows that this could be a possibility. Now we've done the RF meter down in the Florida swamp, in the Green Swamp, with my friend Chris Connor from the Trail to Bigfoot. And we got the RF meter hits down there while having stones thrown at us. He's the one that introduced me to all this stuff because he's a big fan of the Skinwalker Ranch Club, and he watches them. I mean, he's even part of their group where you can join and watch their cameras go and watch them work on the cameras and stuff like that. It's pretty neat.
That is neat.
We actually went there this last, I want to say either May or June, and we got the same 1.6 gigahertz signal that they were getting at Skinwalker Ranch at Chris's spot in the swamp that he traded with the Sasquatch. So all these technology and meters and it's all coming back in, and that's where I think it's all linked together. So that's what we're trying to figure out. So I probably lost everybody there for a little bit. I started babbling, so I'll I will get back on track here. So if I lost you, everybody, I'm sorry. It just that I get too excited. I'm probably not a good interviewer. I get too. I took. I'm all red. I'm all red, and I'm all. I like relive it all. I get excited when I'm out in the field. I am dedicated. I believe I am. Like I told you, I started off with a notebook and a cell phone, and now I couldn't even tell you, Maria. I don't even want to tell you because if Maria's listening, she won't be too happy at all the stuff I got now. But I mean, I got night vision and thermals. I've gotten everything that possibly you need to try and catch them on film, because that's what I thought at first. I thought they were a flesh and blood animal.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to be the one. I can't be too hard to catch these guys on film. No way. I'm going to do it. I can do it. I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, not a chance. Haven't caught them on film yet. I got one picture out of all 10 years of
Years, yeah.
filming these guys that I think, it came from a knock. There was a knock, our first knocks we captured at Larry's. And we pointed the camera right at the knock area, and we got a little fella there that's sitting in the back with red, shiny black eyes and gray skin around the top of his cheeks, and you can see his cheekbone, like the crease.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing I got that's close. But I don't share it because it's not the end all. It's not end all, and it's not that great. But I think it's a little guy. I think that's what's one of them up there. But
Why do you think there's the radiation?
I think they're a space monkey. I don't think they're. That's just like my shirt. I'll show you. Sure.
Yeah. Love it.
No, that's just a joke, because I tell Doug that. He goes, "You can't tell people that they're a space monkey." Me and Doug are very good friends. He's a really good friend of mine, and we tease each other, and that's just a joke between us about space monkey. I think they're interdimensional. I think they can come and go. I don't know how. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they're dropped off by a ship or craft, or they're getting trapped in. We were just talking about this the other night, or the doorways. Missing 411, or people walking in the doorways and getting lost like that. You ever hear the story about the farmer and his wife? He's walking out to his barn, and she's sweeping the porch, and they're talking to each other, and she's watching him, and then all of a sudden he just disappears.
No, I haven't heard that.
And then she goes out to him and is calling his name, and then all of a sudden he calls back to her, and she can hear him. He's somewhere else. He walked into a portal, a door, whatever you guys want to call it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen one, never been in one, don't want to. But,
Yeah.
And it lasted for a couple weeks, and then he just slowly faded away. The police came, they dug in the ground to try and get him out. They tried everything because they could hear him. He couldn't find his way out. So is that what's going with the Sasquatch? Are they jumping in? Because you and I know that they're not smart enough. They're smart enough. I mean, not smart. They're smart enough not to run in front of a car.
Mm-hmm.
They're intelligent. They have family units. They can use their hands. They're smart.
Mm-hmm.
They're smart enough not to run out in front of a tractor trailer truck. But what if they get sucked in one of these doorways from where they're from, and then all of a sudden, boom, there they are. They're on the middle of the street, and they're running because they gotta go, because you got cars coming.
Mm-hmm.
How many roadside sightings are there? I mean, it kind of makes sense to me, but I've never seen a portal or a doorway. But now the Congress and the government of the United States is coming out and saying that this is true. The aliens are real. They do interdimensional travel. I mean, it's all coming out in bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the hide and seek champions of the world. They're not 10 feet tall, 600 pounds, and leaving one footprint in the middle of a muddy field. You know what I mean? There's something going on. And I believe when they come in, that white, they have that white film that they leave, like on handprints. They'll leave it on windows, and
yep.
I guarantee you, and I shouldn't say that. In my opinion, that stuff's going to be radioactive. I carry a Geiger counter now just for that purpose, just in case we come across that, to measure that. I think it's a protective coating. I think that's what they get covered with when they come through. Now, again, this is just my opinion, and I don't know, but
that's interesting.
You put the pieces together, and you have to think outside the box, because these fellas are outside of the box. These aren't normal, everyday things that you see.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens, spirits, all of it. The what do they call ectoplasma, whatever, from the ghosts that come?
From Ghostbusters.
Right, but don't they have a word for it now? Don't they have a word for it? Because they do leave it behind, right? The spirits. I'm not too familiar with,
I'm not sure.
with the ghost hunting side of it, but I'm going to start getting familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that'll be radioactive too. I think that'll register. So I got a guy. I went out and bought a Geiger counter, and I keep it in my backpack just for that occasion.
It's funny because I don't do it anymore, but I was a paranormal investigator, and now that I think back, maybe that should have been something that we should have had part of our kit, was a Geiger counter.
Right. Yeah. Well, I learned that from the Squatch father. Alfred Santoriga.
Oh, yes, good old Al. Love Al.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a really good friend of mine, and we're
mine
going to be
too.
doing. Yeah, he's going to be doing. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. I'm starting a new project called Real American Monsters, and
Nice.
I'm I'm going out and I'm going to investigate it all from
Mhm,
Slender Man to Sasquatch. I'm going to just. I think it's all linked. I think
mm,
I think that doorway. I think there's another world that walks right alongside of ours, and we can't see it, and they can't see us. But there's slices, and maybe they know how to use it, and we don't, and we've lost track. The Native Americans talk about it all the time.
mhm.
Talk about all that time. They even have them on the petroglyphs. They have portal symbols with people falling from them, and you know what? They
That
didn't
is
make that up. They had to see
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Those big things with the big huge feet, and they're holding people's heads in their hands, and they had to see it. They didn't. It just didn't come about. It wasn't made up stories, and
Mhm.
um. So I think it's all intertwined in the Sasquatch. I think I'm at the point with the Sasquatch where I know enough to there's nothing else really I can go for unless I get that film, unless I'm gonna, I'll try, I'm gonna try doing the trail cameras now with no IR light and stuff like that. But that's the only thing that's left is trying to catch them on film. I know they're real.
Mhm.
I've had a ripped off coyote leg left at my back door
Oh, wow.
when I was sick and I couldn't make it up. Remember I was telling you about I
Yeah.
couldn't. They brought a coyote leg to my back door, fresh, ripped off the dog. I mean, it was gross,
Oh, do you
bloody
think they were
still.
trying to feed you? Like, why do you think they love
Oh,
that?
a lot of people there's a lot of mixed feelings about it. A lot of people said that the coyote is like a spiritual animal to them, and I've heard so many things. I think it was a gift. Come back, get better soon, and here's a token. But I threw that in the woods because Maria didn't want it in the back here because she found it first. And I threw it in the woods. I work where I live, so I went to get the guys from work to show them. And I got back here 10 minutes later, and it was gone,
Hmm.
gone. It was taken from here, and I've had a lot of crazy stuff going here with the hummingbird feeders. Maria was I got a really good story. You want to hear a really really good story? I don't know how long you
Please.
guys run your show for, but
It's an hour, and we've been 37 minutes so far,
and,
so go ahead. Yeah.
and I've been babbling. So
No, it's good.
this one, everybody who's listened, this 100% happened. I don't know how it happened. I can't explain why it happened, but it did happen. And I'm going to give it to you in chronological order how it all went down. So this was after Larry's stopped, and we weren't going back up to the gifting area. Now we thought there was three of them up at Larry's. We would find a large print, a medium print, and a baby print. And we watched that baby print grow up over 6 years. It was very tiny when it first started.
Oh, that's neat. I've never heard anybody say that before.
Yeah. And then it got up to like 8.5, 9 inches. But then mom and dad's prints disappeared. He would only come on. The big guy was 15 inches. I have him. I got his print on film and on the channel. You could see it. And I got mom's print, the 10-inch print. You can see that. Or hers was a 13 at the end. I think hers was a 13 at the end. They all grew.
Mhm.
But the big guy never got. It was funny because he was 15 from the start, and he never got any bigger than 15. I mean, like he was topped off. But the other two grew.
Mm.
So the two of them disappeared, and the one was left. And then we thought it was a girl for some reason. I don't know why, because she liked the animals and the toys. So we called her. It was a she, and she was the only print that we would find forever. And then we got kicked. We couldn't go back up. We didn't get kicked off basically, but we can't go there anymore. So we're not going up in there anymore. I'm sitting here one night and I'm sleeping, or I meditate before I sleep. So I'm not sleeping yet. I have a moldavite stone that I meditate with, and I don't know you guys are familiar with
Oh,
moldavite, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. How
So
big of a piece is it?
it's like that. It actually looks like a Bigfoot foot. It's shaped just.
Oh,
I wish I had it down here. It looks like a Bigfoot foot.
yeah.
It
Must have been
exactly.
costly.
Yeah, it was like 300 and
Yeah.
big money, but it's the real deal. So and I do that meditate. I meditate with that. So I meditate, and then all of a sudden, this face starts to appear, and it looks like dreadlocks to me. at first and a face, and it looks like a girl, and it did the dreadlocks, and then it starts coming clearer, and then she has hair on the side of her face. It looks like Elvis sideburns. And
Okay.
then the hair just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it looks like dreadlocks. And I'm seeing, I can see it in my head. I can close my eyes and see it. And all of a sudden I hear, nah, 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 nah. I'm just watching. I'm not just I'm watching in my head, just all go down, and I'm hearing this, and I hear na na ta na 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 ta ta. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? And all of a sudden,
Mm.
Atari. And then look at my hair on my arms just sticking straight up. And her face comes and she goes, Natari comes at me. Whoo, and her face is right in front of me. I can see her. And then she disappears and I wake up. I'm like, whoa, what was that? What was that?
What the heck?
So I go back, I get my bearings and I go back and I tell Maria what happened, and I go back and I finish my thing, and I tell them, I said, if this was real mind speak, if this, you guys are talking to me, I need more proof. I need you to leave something for me physically so I know that you were just here.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up the next day for work. I go downstairs, and Maria's downstairs in the kitchen. She's always up first. And she goes, you look out the back window. Look what else. What is that stuff out there? And I'm looking out the back window. I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I go downstairs in the basement. I go out the back door, and I go over to the items and it's a Tupperware container, and it's a stuffed monkey.
Oh.
Look at my hair on my arms. It's straight up right now. And I got the goosebumps just telling you that.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. Because there's nobody that knows. There's nobody that went up there with me and Larry.
Yeah.
I mean, people saw the videos, but there's nobody in this town that would bring a monkey. It was a purple monkey, though. No, it wasn't a black monkey like we live, but it still had the Velcro hands on it that we would use. And I'm like, oh, wow, my goodness, I cannot believe this. They left me something to tell me that it was really them.
Yeah. That's wild.
So I take the monkey and I tie it up in the tree. I'm like, this is what we did at the gifting area, so I'll tie it up in the tree. So we tied it up in the tree. About a week later goes by. I come downstairs and Maria goes, look outside. And I'm like, well, first I got to tell you this. I had another one of those dreams last night or whatever, visions or whatever. It was about a little black Sasquatch that looked like a little Ewok, and his name was Archibald. And he came running across my room, jumped up on the bed, and landed on my chest like this. Now, they're coming at my face for some reason. I don't know why they're trying to scare me or what. He lands on my chest and he goes, Archibald. And then, whoom, gone.
Wow.
So I tell her that. She goes, oh, yeah? Well, look out the window. Oh, my God, the monkey's gone. He came and got the monkey.
Mm.
And then Maria proceeds to tell me that all the animals that she feeds animals, she has bird feeders, bears, she'll feed the bears, she'll feed any animal that's out in the forest. She says none of her animals have been coming around for the last 3 days.
Oh.
Right. So now he does that. The other Natari does it. Now Natari is a name that who come up with Natari?
Mm.
Never in a million words. And we looked it up because Al says you got to research the name. It was the first Native American female saint, Natari.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, from upper state New York. So I don't know if that. I've never heard the name before. I would never have came. The only word close to it is Atari when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
So now things go by a little bit later. Now Maria is having problems with her hummingbird feeder. And this is where we came up with the hum thing. Every day, the flowers are plucked off all her hummingbird stuff and the either drank or spilt over all the juice. And they're thrown. They're not just like placed everywhere. They're plucking them off or drinking the water or whatever. And she doesn't know what's doing it. It happens 4 straight days in a row. And on the 4th straight day, one of the flowers goes missing. And now she's mad. She comes in and now she knows. She comes in, she goes, you go out there and you tell your buddies that I want my flower back
Mm-hmm.
and to stop drinking the juice. So I said, all right, that's going to work. Okay, but I'll go out and do it just to do it. Right. So I go out there. I said, hey, guys, Maria wants her flower back and stop drinking the juice. So the next day comes and Maria comes in and she's not into any of this stuff. She spooks her out. She hasn't been back in the forest in 7 years. She won't go in.
Mm-hmm.
She had an experience in the forest that she just won't. She's scared to death. And she comes back in. She goes, "You're not going to believe this one." I'm like, "Oh, well, it's kind of hard right at this point in my life. Not to nothing really surprises me anymore." She goes, "All the flowers were plucked off again." I'm like, "Okay," but they were left all in a little pile underneath with the fifth one that was missing, underneath where the hummingbird feeder was sitting.
That's amazing.
So I tell this story to my friend MK Davis, and MK goes, I don't think Sasquatch like hummingbirds." And I'm like, "What do you mean they don't like hummingbirds?" He goes, "I had the same thing going at my house. They were coming to my house. They were destroying my hummingbird feeder, destroying it every day. And even knocked a hummingbird, like clear across the road.
Oh,
Doesn't know why. And we were, so we just threw, I'll get to this. I'll get to this after I'll finish the story first. But that's just another side. That's part of the hum that we've come up with that the Sasquatch actually do. So that's the thing that we found out that nobody knew before now, that the Sasquatch hum like hummingbirds, and we can't figure it out. So that night, I'm laying in bed. This is after the hummingbird stuff. She's all happy and everything. I'm laying in bed, and I'm about to go to sleep, and my grandbabies live with me, and they're taking a bath, and all of a sudden, my room starts shaking, like this, like shaking. I'm like, "Oh my God, the pipes are gonna blow." I'm a building supervisor. I know when pipes are ready to, they're shaking, and I'm like, "What are the kids doing? Are they gonna?" I got up. I'm like, "What are you guys doing in the bathroom?" And Maria goes, "There's nothing going on in the bathroom. There's a blacked out helicopter over our apartment right now." Sure
wow.
enough, right above our place here, 20 feet above it. Oh, there it is again. It does hand gestures. Is that crazy or what?
That is crazy.
20 feet above our apartment, a blacked out helicopter, no lights, just hovering, shaking our place, shaking my bedroom. And I'm like, "What the heck is going on? Why are they out there?" Ever since, and then the next day and whatever that week comes, all the Sasquatch activity ends. All ends. Over. There was no gunshots. There was there was no noises. There was no nothing, but it ended.
Hmm.
And it was like, what the heck happened? Do they have like a frequency that chases them away? Do they
Yeah.
can do that because, or did she just go and hide? Because now I know it's the one from Larry's. I am 100% sure that Natari is the one that got left behind at Larry's.
Mm.
Came here and found me because she, I know they know where they live. This not the first, the dog leg, the coyote leg, and all that. So 3 days later, it's voting. I think it's time to vote or something. Maria and I are going out to vote, and we walk out the front door, and I go around the car and I look up. I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Maria, look up at the sky." She goes, "Nope, I'm not looking at the sky." I said, "Maria, you have to turn around and look up at the sky right now." She turns around, and over our apartment is a UFO. Now, I'm not here, look, a hair on my hand is standing. I swear on the Bible. I don't know how to convince people that I'm not telling a story. Maria will tell you the whole thing too. It's the size of a football field, and it has all like triangle panels on it. It has lights on it. It has 3 lights on it, 2 on the back and 1 on the front. They're blinking, not making a sound. This thing is huge. And Maria looks up and she goes, "Oh my God, what is that?" I'm like, "What do you think that is?" Because we've seen another one before together, and she did the same thing. It was crazy. This thing was the biggest thing I've ever. I still can't get it out of my head, and it just hovers and it's going away from us now. It's not even making a sound; it's just hovering, and then it banks like that, and then it straightens out and it's going. And Marie and I, this is like 6 o'clock. There's still sunlight out. It's still bright enough to see. This is during the day.
Mhm.
There's people taking groceries out of their cars. I live in a building complex and doing their thing. And me and Maria are sitting out in the parking lot pointing at this thing. Whoops, I better be careful of that. Pointing at it, going, look at that, look at that. And when we got back in the car and we're chasing it, we were driving after. We want to see where it's going. And Maria goes, "Did you notice that nobody looked up while we were out in the parking lot? Not one person acknowledged us. Didn't look up, like it was like we weren't even there." She goes. And I'm like, "You're right. Is That's very strange that nobody looked up." But we were like shouting.
Hmm.
And so we're following it. It goes up the hill here where I work, and then it banks again and starts going towards the woods. And as soon as it hit the forest, boom, disappeared. Gone. So that was the craziest 3 weeks of my entire life.
No kidding. So it's not the first time I've heard of things like that where there's a whole bunch of people. Some people see the UFO and other people, they're just oblivious to it. Why do you think that's happening?
I'm not very familiar with the whole UFO thing. I'm starting to get into it now. Like I said, we're going to start looking at it all, and we're going to start investigating it all. And
Yeah.
there's a lot to learn. I think see I don't know what to think anymore, to tell you the truth. That's the honest to God truth. I really don't know what to think anymore.
Yeah.
That's not everyday happenings, and then people might look at you like you're crazy, but I'm not crazy. I hold down a job.
Mhm.
I'm very good at my job. I have grandchildren. I mean, I collect cards. I mean, I go hiking. I mean, I am your normal everyday 56-year-old grandfather. The crazy part is trying to figure out is why is it happening to me?
Mm.
Why are certain people seeing this stuff? Why are certain people, I've never had a thing of being abducted before. I've never had any stuff like that, and I've never had any mind speak since those two, since Natari and the other one. And I've had plenty of strange stuff happen again, with rock throws and the same old stuff at the areas, but I've never had that such an intense experience.
Hmm.
Um, but that craft was unreal. And I don't know why it was here at the same time, but it was the whole 3 weeks was intense.
Hmm. Do you
So
recall if there was any temperature change when you saw the craft?
nope, no, I don't recall any. The only thing that was weird that Maria brought up, that nobody else looked. It was
Yeah.
like we were only one supposed to see it.
Hmm.
Made silent. It was, I mean, silent. Something that big to be silent is just unreal. Those like copper colored triangles,
Hmm.
all paneled. Yeah, it was like an octagon shape too. It was very, 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 very cool looking. But now the only thing I wondered, what if Maria wasn't walking out with me? What
Hmm.
if it was just me? Would I have
Yeah.
been taken? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of scary to think.
Right. And that was the second craft Maria and I saw. We saw another one like midday. And this one was like a craft you saw like on TV. It had the circles around the middle, and they were pulsating around and around and around.
Mhm.
So I said, "Maria, look over there. What is that?" She looks over. She goes, "That's a helicopter." I go, "Maria, go look over there again. That's no helicopter." She goes, "I'm not talking about it." And she just turned her head away. I mean, she's not into this. She doesn't want anything to do with the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
She's supportive though. She supports what I do because she knows how much it means to me, and
Hmm.
that's awesome. But I'm not here to. I'm not getting rich off of telling everybody these stories. I'm not getting sharing my experiences. It has nothing to do with it.
Hmm.
I want to do it so people are aware that this stuff is real. Where we had that dog whimper thing is on a public trail in the state forest. I saw a family of a mother and 3 little girls hiking that same trail. Now, what if it was them that went up there that day? What if it was them that heard the dog whimper noise? I've caught EVPs up there of somebody saying, "Help, help."
Oh, wow.
The same voice, 2 years in a row, different times. what if it, well, people need to be aware that this stuff happens. I don't know if it happens all the time or if it's 100% here all the time, but it's real and it goes down. And I mean, I've had to have my house blessed because of this. I've had 3 scratches underneath my arm before. I've learned how to smudge my own house now and kick things out. And I have a psychic now that I talk to, and she tells me that she's never seen a bright white light like from my aura that she's ever seen before. And I don't know how to take all this stuff because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are certain people out there that are meant to have these interactions and can have them, and they will continue to have them. Because what I didn't tell you before is when I was 10 years old, I had an incident in the forest. And I remember the whole forest closing in on me. I was helping my father's friend. He paid me 25 cents to go and clear his trails of sticks and stuff. And I was just in there by myself. And I turned around and the forest just all closed in on me. And I can remember this feeling. I don't know how to explain it, what it feels. And now I know what it is, because when I had that first encounter at that place with the Sasquatch, that feeling when I shook, that's the same exact feeling I had when I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
So were they there at that moment in time? That's when all that's in around 1970s in Connecticut, where I'm from. There was a bunch of Sasquatch, documented cases. Was that in the same area where I go now, which is very strange. But that same feeling like you were being watched or you're being held, or it's just, were they there that day? No, I haven't seen a Sasquatch close. I have seen one 30 yards away, jumping and running, a little one. And then I've seen plenty on thermal. I've seen the spider walk on thermal here in Connecticut, and that's creepy.
I was just going to say, that's got to be creepy.
And we filmed it. And we got home and it wasn't on the camera. The guy that was with me was so mad. He's still mad at me to this date. Still mad at me because I can't find it. I said, I don't know what happened. You were standing right next to me. You knew it was recording. You saw it. You watched it.
Yeah.
Why would I erase it? I'm like, that was gold. Gone. Just gone. Just everything else there was there. The spider walk down that when he came down that hill, like, was crazy. And I've seen that. Ghosts I've seen here at the house. I had ghosts when I was a kid. So that's why it's I started off at Sasquatch, but I need to know more. I need to venture and find out more, because I think it's all related, and we'll see what I can will I find it? Who knows, probably not. But I'm an interaction junkie. I love it. I love having stones thrown at me. I love being able to find them. Because not too many people said, you can encounter Sasquatch time and time again. I said, oh yeah, you can if you know where they are. You can find them. So
and if you keep going to the same location, they're going to start getting to know you. And
right, yeah, it does. It takes that too, and that's why we do the pattern hikes. So there's no surprises, to show them we're not doing anything different, and we went the same route for 6 years, the same path, over and over and over and over again. So that's my Sasquatch stuff that got released, and there's a lot more. I mean, there's so much more. I went up to Snow Grove with Doug. We had two years in a row. The first year we had a ton of Sasquatch activity. This time it was all paranormal. This last time, we've learned about that hum. Bigfoot hum. They do a 40 hertz hum. It's happened in Washington State. It's happened in Ohio. We're getting recordings from all across America. So if any of you have recordings of when you're out there recording Sasquatch and you hear a hum like a hummingbird, discoversasquatch@gmail.com. Send it on over, because it's a big study going on right now. It's probably, we probably, the group of us have probably discovered something that, probably the biggest discovery in Sasquatch in a long, long time. Nobody would ever thought about this hum until we all came together. The people like up in Washington State, he caught one on tape. I only came up with the hum because of what happened with Maria's hummingbird feeder and what MK told me. So I'm like, I did all the research. I'm like, well, what the heck do hummingbird wings do at? So I bring the tuning fork with me at my areas, and I've drawn them in with the tuning fork.
Hmm.
They came
That's
in, 3 of them came in throwing stones at us. I had my group with me. There was 4 other people there. They witnessed it all, and we were doing the 40 hertz the tuning fork, and it brought them in. Now I didn't see them.
mhm.
I could only assume it was a Sasquatch, but at this area, that's what we assume that's there. And we heard something big walking up the hill that day, and we call blasted it up at Snowgrove
Mhm.
this past year. And that night, it was a light show. We had orbs everywhere,
Wow.
red ones, big white ones. Everybody's seeing orbs. I've never seen an orb until that night. It was incredible. And then we caught like voices coming over the camera monitors.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it all turned into paranormal the next time with that call blasting. And the year before at Snowgrove, we had a thing happen to us when we were leaving. We call it the thunder knock. It was like 2 30-foot pine trees being swung at each other in an explosion. And then we felt the recoil on our chests.
Oh.
My
Yep.
3 of them, that just like the wave, boom, boom, boom. But it was like an explosion, like Volkswagens hitting each other at 80.
Hmm.
Boom! And we're like, whoa! And then boom, boom. Right when they're coming to pick us up to leave.
Ah, of course.
Yeah. It was unreal. That's something I'll never forget. I mean, it just that's what I mean. This just keeps on going, and it's getting stranger and stranger and stranger.
Yeah.
And more of this world is being open. And that's
Yep.
why I'm doing real. That's why I'm going to do Real American Monsters. I got to go out there, and I'm going to film it all too. I'm bought a ton of camera gear. I got new camera gear I'm going to bring with me, and we're going to film it all. I'm going to do it all as much as I can, and show everyone. I'm going to go do up to Al. We're going to go up to New York State. There, what's the haunted hotel up there?
Is it Stan? Not Stanley.
Stanley. Yeah, the
Okay.
Shanley.
Yeah.
The Shanley Hotel. We're going to go and do. We're going to do a night there, and I'm going to film it all.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm going for it. So keep an eye out, everybody, for that Real American Monster thing, because I hope people get behind it, because I would love to be able to do it full time. And I mean, I'm 56 years old. How much more time do I got to be in the woods? I mean, you stay
Yeah.
as fit as you can, but I mean, I got back issues and stuff like that, but I still can do it. But just keep your eye open, because we're gonna try and I want to show real evidence.
Yep.
You see all these shows, and everybody goes and they show the drone shots, and they show the B-roll, and I want to show B-roll with the ghosts are talking to you on the ovulus and ovula, wherever they call them. And I want to show, hopefully, the Sasquatch throwing stones at us to have the stone. You can see that on my channel too, by the way. I just want to show the real deal and show people where it's in, the people that are experiencing this, because people are living with this on their houses. And I'm very, if you can't tell by now, I'm very passionate about it.
I could tell, yeah.
So so much that it sometimes it overtakes me, and it gets pretty intense. But
Well, it's important to do these shows too, I find, because it shows because there still are a lot of people who think that they're the only ones experiencing these. So if they happen to find shows like ours, then they know, oh wow, and like the hum thing, people come together and talk about their research. Don't hide it from everybody. We need to share information to be able to start finding correlations with things, because that's the first time I've heard about the hum. That's really interesting.
right, yeah, the hum is pretty big, and you're exactly right. You have to work together if you want to get answers. Put aside the BS.
Yep.
I don't care what you believe. You can have your own opinion. I can work right next to a flesh and blood guy that thinks that they're flesh and blood. I have no problem with that, as
Mm.
long as they're open minded to what I got going on, and I would have never have found them if it wasn't for the flesh and blood guys, because that's who I was following. That's who taught me what to look for and what they would leave for signs on their trails and how to go about it and how to do it. Because if it wasn't for them, I would have never found them.
Yep.
But now it's kind of like it's kind of easy to find them. I know that people say it hard, but it's not. Or I shouldn't say easy, because I've been going to the same spots. But when I go away, we have interactions. Like down in Florida this year when we went for that thing, Chris is actually making a couple of documentaries right now about our trip. We had some crazy stuff go on down there. So now I'm traveling down 1,000 miles and we're having activity down there. Go up to Snowgrove, activity up there.
Yep.
I've had activity everywhere I've gone. I haven't gotten skunked yet. So again, is it that aura? Is it that thing? Get a group of people that have that same thing together and put them in one place. See what happens.
Yep.
That's what I want to try and do. I want to get a group of people that have it and then put them in one place. I went to Al's place up in New York. Crazy night. I got an attachment on me like I was sub-zero.
Wow.
We had clouds. We had a storm come in that night that looked like it was the poltergeist, the pool scene.
Yeah.
Compass at my feet, spinning around in circles. He had those dowsing rods, and he would walk away from me, and the dowsing rods would point back towards me. Everywhere he went, those dowsing rods would point to me. Back and forth, back and forth. It was a crazy, crazy night. Again, never been there in my life before, but stuff happens. I saw like the smoke thing jump from. It was just, oof. That was a crazy night. That I don't want to go through another night like that because that was spooky.
Yeah.
You ever have an attachment on you before, like when you were like sub-zero cold and couldn't get warm? And then as soon as we left that place, I was fine. As soon as we left, the coat came off, sweating. It was warm out, but for some reason, freezing. And Al he had a vest on. I had like jackets and gloves and I was shaking.
That's crazy. Well, we are at the end, my friend. I would definitely love to have you on because you have lots of things to talk about. So before we sign off, could you tell the audience where they can find you?
Okay, so I am on my podcast, which I'm going to have Kat on my podcast also, is on the Untold Radio Network. That is Doug Hychek from Monster Quest show. And it's called Discover Sasquatch right now, but as April 22nd comes around, I'm changing the name of the podcast also to Real American Monsters. So you can find me on that channel right now under Discover Sasquatch on the Untold Radio. On YouTube, my channel is called Discover Sasquatch right now, but on the 22nd, it will be changed to Real American Monsters. Episode 1 will be out, and it'll be the episode 1 is about the dog whimper. Me and my buddy, we figured that would be great for episode 1, and so we went up there and filmed it again and all that. So that Discover Sasquatch, it will be Real American Monsters on YouTube, and then on Facebook I have a private group, and you got to answer the questions to get in, and if you everybody has an opinion on my group. Nobody has a voice. Everybody has a voice. You can have your own voice in there, and you're allowed to use it. As long as you don't try and make your voice somebody else's, you're good. So it's a private group. We got like 1,500 people in there.
Wow.
There's never a fight. There's no fighting. They all
That's
are
amazing.
just there. So if you're interested in that, you can go on over to Facebook, and it's under Discover Sasquatch. But again, that'll be changing over to Real American Monsters. So as of April 22nd of this year, it'll all go to Real American Monsters.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much. If you hang tight, I'll just say my farewells to the audience, and then we can chat for a couple minutes.
All right.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. It's been a great time, and thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions, just send me an email.
Okay. Thanks again. Take care.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Well, folks, we've made it to another episode. Thank you to my special guest tonight and UPRN 107.7 New Orleans and 105.3 the Gulf Coast. Remember, if you enjoyed the show, please support us by liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. And another way to help support the show is by grabbing some Paranormal Heart podcast swag. If you'd like to pick up your very own Paranormal Heart mug here, drop me an email at paranormalheart13@gmail.com. Totally forgot what my email was. Until next time, everyone, thanks so much. Much love to you all.